let's get it. I bought for 16 passenger, this a G5, no, this not a Challenger. Big one. I keep some members with me in the fridge, the coat seats, they some cannibals. Eaters. They like to geek, drink a whole bottle, wake up and repeat. Damn, she took a look, mixed it with the chill out. Now she said.
Hey guys, welcome to my channel and welcome to another video. I am driving, so I will not be looking directly into the camera. Hopefully you guys don't have an issue with that. I am in Bear Country, y'all. That's what they say. This is Bear Country Road. I ain't been to Bear Country before. It's a school here. I don't know what school this is. I'm trying to see. Houston County School. Honey, school ain't like it used to be back in my day. They actually have their own bus. They have those things for the vans. I mean, for equipment, band equipment, like trailers that I guess you can move around if you need to. Pretty cool, pretty cool. But anyway, guys, I brought you here to talk about the Tim Norman Sweetie for Hires trial. So it seems that once this case was sentenced and he was sentenced to what he was sentenced to, it was already in the works that Tim was going to represent himself. And so he had begun preparing a very detailed letter. I gave you a little brief synopsis about it in my last video. So if you guys have not seen that video, you should definitely go back and check it out. The thing about it, they do say a man who represents himself has a fool for a client sometimes. But to be honest, for him to just be a person who was shady and got locked up, he didn't do the worst job when it came to writing a letter, to referencing, or should I say citing different law cases and things of this nature. He was very detailed in the information that he knew. You know, he had did a lot of research on Judge Ross, research on the case itself that he was in, research on situations around the cases. Now, the sad part about it is, just like that Brooks guy, when you are a novice at something, you miss details and you miss situations that experience gives you. That's why they say what they say about the fool for a client, because you don't have the expertise to handle things in a way that they really should be handled, because this is not your profession. People who become an attorney, they spend several years studying law cases. They work on cases, they work on different types of cases, and those who specialize usually go into even more in-depth training on the specialties that they choose to have. So with that being the case, I mean, he is really, I don't know if he is even going to have a fighting chance with this. I found it interesting, again, because I feel like the reason it's going like it's going is because money. They've spent a lot of money on legal representation, and quite frankly, he's probably got his mama to a point to where she's not as financially viable as she once was. Now, all of the sweetie pies that is in St. Louis have closed down. To me, that's significant. that's where it all started at. Now, we understand why the upper crust closed down, because of it's not joint domicile, the legal proceedings that allows the government to seize a property if they feel like their use of the property is better suited for the city and community than your use of your property. They'll buy it from you. And depending on how the sale goes, sometimes it's to your benefit and sometimes it's to your detriment. So for Miss Robbie, I really don't think I think they bought it for $1 million, but she put $1 million of work into it. So I don't think she got out of it really what she wanted to. Now, did she make enough money to get out of it what she wanted to? Maybe. So maybe that's how they justified the price that they paid her, or because she waited, she fought it and all of that, and tried to keep her property until it got to the point that she just didn't win. But anyway, like I said, you know, Tim wants people to feel that he is some great guy who did so much, not only for his community, but even for his nephew. But the thing about it was, when his nephew lost his life, Tim never even made an effort to even contact the mother of Andre to offer condolences. Another thing that I thought was interesting is the fact that Miss Robbie, who is Tim's mom, didn't feel a closeness to this woman, being that they now have both suffered the same fate on the same unofficial person. Andre Montgomery was Andre's dad. Andre Montgomery, which is Miss Robbie's son, she suffered the loss of him. And Andre Montgomery Jr., which is Miss I can't think of her last name. It just popped out of my head. But Andre's mom's son. And she, you know, like I said, she suffered the loss of him. And so, I don't understand why she isn't more compassionate with this woman. Why she didn't feel the need to even just reach out and talk to her. Which some say that she talked to her some, but maybe not to the extent that we would think that she had, being that they both suffered a coincidental situation that is not something that happens to a lot of people. But as I was saying, so Tim put out a letter to the judge, really talking about him, which is interesting. Honey, drug that man for filth. He put out a letter to the judge talking about that he should have recused himself, that he didn't allow certain information in because it had a certain overtone, or should I say undertone, that made the case something that he should not have been represented. And he feels that his personal prejudice played a role in that. I really don't think that at all. I think that the man used the law the way he was supposed to use it, and it just was what it was. That's just how it rolled out. But one way or another, the situation just was what it was. There was overwhelming evidence to convict Tim. It just was. And even if there was a different person representing the case, it still was overwhelming evidence. It just was what it was. I mean, it just is what it is. So even if he had a different attorney, a different judge, I don't think the outcome would have been different. I don't see how Tim feels he can overcome this, but his narcissistic nature will not allow him to see it any other way. It just won't. So that puts us where we are. Now, I feel like, also speaking on Miss Robbie for a second, and this is my opinion. I know opinions are like, you know what, holes, everybody has one, so this is mine. I feel like she should have stood beside Miss Griggs. I feel that from the beginning of this situation. Now, once it had came out what happened, at that time, obviously there may have been some changes because Miss Griggs may not have wanted Miss Robbie to stand by her. But I feel like she should have stood with that woman. She should have stood tall. She should have been on the show. She should have, when they went through the things that they went through, going to the scene where the incident occurred and all of this stuff, I feel like Andre's mom should have been there. They acted all involved and hurt and upset when it happened. But then, you know, now that this is real life and you're having to show your true actions, neither one of them acted accordingly. And the thing about it is that there is proof from Andre's family that he had told his grandmother what was going on. He had told his grandmother that he was in danger from his uncle and all this, that, and the third. Now, she was so worried about her money and the stuff that was stolen from her home that she didn't listen to him. Like, she completely blocked out everything that he was telling her. But you know what has never been discussed by anyone I've heard anyway? Tim spent 10 years in prison. He spent 10 years in prison for robbery. What happened to his mom's house? It was robbed. Now, obviously, he didn't do it. I mean, he wasn't there physically, probably, but he probably had something to do with what happened. And the fact that he may have gotten away with that may have been the compelling issue that made him feel like he could get away with this other thing, the robbery. You know, the fact that she completely dismissed the fact of Tim being involved, for me, is interesting. Now, Andre said, grandmother, Tim is trying to hurt me. I've had several people tell me that. She didn't listen to anything. Now, she was worried about her stuff. First of all, they said she did have cameras. She did have an alarm system. Now, maybe not cameras. I'm not sure cameras directly, but she definitely had an alarm system. The code was put in. So if the code was put in, either her, Tim, or Andre were the people who had that particular code, and so they had to be involved. Andre was exonerated of everything. That leaves Miss Robbie and Tim. I don't think she robbed herself, so I mean, that only leaves one other person. The fact that he has previous history of robbing people, number one. Number two, she knows his not only narcissistic but overly aggressive disposition when it comes to taking things. Because he took her name, he took her likeness and her recipes and opened up several restaurants. I don't understand. Well, she made him co-owner, and that's probably where she made the mistake. But the thing is, what she has not owned up to is the fact that she raised him. That's her child. She said, that's my son and I love him. She raised him. So she knows the good, the bad, and the ugly of that young man. When that boy told his grandmother what he told him, and then it happened, I don't expect her to go stand in front of the news microphone and implicate him, but at the same time, at the back of her mind, she had to know what she had to know. So for her to still stand tall today saying that she don't know if he did that, I mean, it makes her look almost very unsmart. I'm just going to say it like that. Very unsmart. You have proof. You have previous activity. You have over exceptional circumstantial evidence. Now, maybe they didn't look into Tim when it came to the house. They didn't look at him as strong. Everybody was trying to put it off on Andre. But the question is, why? Why Andre? Why did they put that off on Andre? Why did it have to be Andre? He don't have a long history of criminal behavior. He does not have any robberies on his record. He has not gotten in a lot of trouble. As a matter of fact, he was pretty stellar from the point of him leaving Texas and coming up here. So, I mean, why are they saying that it had to be him? That part I'm not getting. So, I say that just to say, if you are looking at the life and times of an individual in comparison to trying to see who is more probable, Tim would have been more probable to break the law and break into the grandmother's house, to his mom's house, than Andre. So I say all of this, and I conclude this video to say this. Number one, I don't think it's smart that Tim represents himself. Number two, I think that Miss Robbie knows more than she is admitting to know. I think that she knows the capability of her son. I think that she knows the probability of her son as well. And with that being the case, it makes her look even more vicious as a unwilling participant in this crime. The crime of overlooking the danger that her grandson was in, and also the crime of knowing that her son is complicit. She don't have to know that he did it. She don't have to know that all the evidence, although it was presented in black and white, she could still try to be oblivious to that. But the fact of her not acknowledging that he is complicit, she dead wrong there. To be a part of a situation, or to be quiet about a situation that you know is possible, to me is tantamount to being involved. And if she wants to say that she loved them both equally, how could she stand for one and not the other? It is not something that if you love them equally that you would do. You would stand for both or stand for neither. It's just, it is what it is. So I think that she is not being upfront with all the feelings, thoughts, and things that she has. She's also acting as if she does not have the ability to have an inside track on information when it comes to this case too, and I think that that's awful. Another thing that I feel she didn't do is have more compassion and contact with Andre's mother, especially since this happened under their watch and that he was out there for his grandmother. I, as the grandmother, would have felt so responsible. I would have did any and everything to try to figure out what happened. If it wasn't for Andre's mom, we would not know what truly happened. She did not let this go. Why was the grandmother not a part of that? Why did she not have the same thirst for information, especially being a woman who lost a child to the same violence that took her grandchild, the same child, and Andre. When she was with Tim's daddy was unalived. Now, he was married to another woman. I'm not sure if they were still together, but he was, Tim's dad was definitely in an entanglement with her. And she was definitely involved with him actively at the time that he was victimized. So, with that being the case, all of this behavior, all of this stuff that is going on has happened around her. And she is not stepping up and saying, my life is going to change because this is not going to be my story. she's not saying my life is going to change because I'm not finna own this. I'm not going to own the fact that this is happening and that this is happening around me. You know, I'm going to change the way I do things, the people that I deal with, and my actions so that I don't have to have this as a part of my life anymore. And I mean, the fact that she's not doing that is somewhat interesting. Now let's also bring to the table the fact that Tim has some kind of legal situation going on in Texas. Also, let's bring to the fact that he has a child support case there, and then he was accused of some type of domestic violence against Jennifer Williams when he dated her. I don't know what it is about her and the men. Like, the men that she date be weird. Weird looking, weird, just weird. Because her husband, her first husband, he wasn't the cutest child. That big old knot on his head. But anyway, that's another story for another day. Y'all, tell me what y'all think about this video. I hope it was not too long. Also, I hope that you guys were able to follow me. If you have any questions, please ask away. I would definitely be willing to elaborate on that. Also, if you would like to add something, if it's something that I did not cover, let me know. I would be very happy to elaborate on it. Like I said, we'll discuss everything in the comments below, guys. If you're new here, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. And if you have not hit that like button, please do so. It does not only feed the algorithm, but it helps support the video and help the video get more views. So until next time, guys, I will see you in the comments.
Let's get it. Hop off a 16 passenger. This a G5, no, this not a Challenger. Big one. I keep some members with me in the fridge. The coat seats, they some cannibals. Eaters. They like to geek. Drink a whole bottle, wake up and repeat. Damn. She took a look, mixed it with the chill out. Now she say she saying 3D. Wow. I go in the jungle and they got a coat. I bet I come out with a mean. I better do this shit for the fam. Cause this shit